Good morning, crocheters. This is Karen Whooley, and welcome to episode 5 of Coffee and Crochet with Karen. I'm so excited to be here, and I just want to let you know up front, I'm going to be sitting for this whole series because I did something last night, and I have an impingement in my left hip flexor, and I was just at physical therapy this morning as when I was getting up this morning, it was worse, and I had physical therapy anyway because I have a really tight back, and we've been working on getting that fixed. And this was a new thing, so they had me do a lot of exercises, and I am super sore. So I just want to let you know. So I'll be sitting the entire time. The other thing I wanted to say is I'm wearing my spooky web shawl as a cowl today. It's so cold. I woke up to 26 degrees. Spring and summer are definitely gone. We are hit fall here in the Pacific Northwest in the high desert. I live in the high desert. Most people think about Washington as cold and rainy all the time. I'm actually on the eastern side of the state where we get snow and below freezing for most of winter. So I'm trying to get out of the everything's warm and into the layers and all of that stuff. And the other reason why I'm wearing spooky web, not only does it match my sweater today, but it also is Halloween when I'm recording this. So I thought it would be kind of fun to be wearing my spooky web shawl for Halloween. So if you are interested in this one, the pattern is on my website. Just go to my website and under patterns, go to the shawls and wraps section, and you will see the pattern there for this particular shawl. It's been pretty popular, so I'm really excited. I just released it earlier this month, and I really like this one. This is one that I think I'm going to be wearing more than just around Halloween, because the lace could be for anything. It doesn't have to be a web, even though it's kind of that vibe. The other thing is I'm feeling much better. I still sneezing, so if I start to sneeze in the middle of this podcast, I apologize. But I am feeling 100% better. I'm not 100%, but compared to what I felt last week, this is like 100% better. So, but I sound better, I hope. So that is what is going on. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's talk about what's new in the shop. Okay, so this week in the shop, and actually it's been for a couple weeks, but I just keep forgetting to mention it. I'm going to be mentioning this in my newsletter next week that's coming out. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you look in the show notes and subscribe to my newsletter so you can get this information. But I actually have 2 live classes. Well, they're virtual classes on Zoom, but I have 2 classes. One of them is actually going to be happening on Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, and you guys can figure out your time zones from there. And it is my foundation stitches class. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but one of the things when I teach beginners, we always teach beginners to work into the chain. And a lot of times that is the hardest thing for people to learn. Once they get into the chain, learning the basic stitches is really easy, but doing those first single crochets into a chain or even double crochets into a chain is a pain. And I've always said that I really want to start teaching beginners how to do foundation stitches. And I haven't quite done that yet with a beginner's class, but I keep thinking that it might be the best way to do it. In some cases, not in everybody's case, because sometimes it's hard to see where you need to put your hook, and a chain kind of does that better. But I am doing a foundation class on Friday. It's $125 per person. I do have signups. It is going to be a go. I did want to let you guys know what I'm going to be teaching in that class. So one of the things I'm going to be teaching for the first part is a 3-hour class. And the first part, I'm teaching the basic foundations, single crochet foundation, half double, double, and triple. those are pretty standard in a foundations class. But the second half of the class, as long as things move along properly, I'm going to be teaching an eyelet foundation. I'm going to be teaching a V-stitch foundation, and I'm going to be teaching a kind of a filet crochet foundation stitch, and I'm also going to be teaching a granny stitch. So like the 3 double crochets together and then chain 2, 3 double, that have the chain 2s between them. And what is special about those is that if you learn how to do those specialty foundations, you can figure out any stitch foundation, shells and ripples and any other kind of combination stitches, texture stitches, and don't do the chain first and just do the foundation stitches to do that. Now, that being said, I am creating a second class called Laying the Groundwork to Advanced or Alternative Foundations. I haven't decided if it's going to be advanced foundations or alternative foundations. And in that class, I'm going to teach how to do the shells, how to do bobbles and popcorns and ripple stitches and all that. And a prerequisite for that class is going to be taking my foundation stitch or knowing the basic foundations. So that is going to be coming next year. So if you're interested in that class though, that advanced foundation stitch class, let me know in the comments. I really want to know how many people would really be interested. I am pitching that class to events for next year as well. So you may be able to take it from me live, but I just wanted to let you know that is what's happening at the end of this week. And if you want to get in on that class, sign up before Thursday morning. I'm going to take the listing down on Thursday morning. Okay, because Thursday morning is when I'm going to be sending out all of the class materials and everything. So just so you know. The other class is on December 8th. I had to go look at my calendar. December 8th, and it is my Color Work Made Easy class. And this is a class that I developed over time trying to figure out how to make crocheted color work done in single crochets, like Fair Isle and all sorts of stuff, how to make them look like they are standing up. Now, if you're a right-handed crocheter, the top of the stitch is offset to your right, and if you're left-handed, it's offset to your left. That is just the nature of crochet stitches, and that makes your picture slant. So I've developed a technique that is that helps give you the illusion that the stitches are standing up. You may have taken my class Fair Isle Crochet on Craftsy. It's a similar class to that. It's just shortened because I'm doing it live in 3 hours. There's no way I could do projects like that. So you're going to learn 3 different ways to do the technique. The traditional, what do they call it? Tapestry crochet version. And then I'm going to show you how to do it with the floats on the back. That's traditional Fair Isle and knitting. Because if you want to be very traditional, you have the floats on the back. And then I'm going to teach you how to do it without the floats on the back so that all the floats are buried. So if you're interested in that class is also $125. But right now, if you go to that link on my website, and I'll put all the links in my show notes for both classes here. But until the middle of November, I believe, I have a coupon code that when you go to the page, you'll either get something on the corner or you'll get a slide in. It depends on what your settings are on your device that you're looking at the website. But for the color work class, I have a coupon for $50 off. So instead of $125, you can get it for $75. There is limited seating in both classes. So once the seats are gone, they're gone. I will offer both of these classes again next year. I just wanted to let everybody know those are happening. So if you see the little slide out and want to take the class and get $50 off, just fill out the form. It'll automatically give you a coupon and you can use it when you check out, and it'll give you the $50 off the class. So I hope I will see some of you in one of those classes, or both of those classes would be great too. So I just want to let you know that's what's new in the shop. Next week, I will be talking about a new pattern that's coming out in November. And this is all I'm going to show you right here is this little part of it right here. You will see it next week in full. But I do have a new pattern coming out on November 14th. So be watching for that. Okay, let's get on with current projects. Okay, so as you all know, I'm working on a sweater. I am still trying to figure out how I'm going to do the armholes. I use a spreadsheet to make set-in sleeves, and I am right there at where I need to do the sleeves. This is what it looks like right now. There you go. I'm gonna turn around. This is where I need to start doing the decreases for the set-in sleeve. I don't like the way the spreadsheet did it, so I have been fussing with it for a couple days. Put it aside in timeout while I think about it, and then I'm gonna probably get back to it later this week. I really was hoping I would have a whole front to show you. That did not happen. That is going to happen this week because I really need to get that done. But one of the things that I've been doing is, and I haven't really talked about this much except for in my crochet crew, but I might as well talk about it publicly now. January 1st, I'm starting a new crochet along. It's a year-long crochet along, and it is going to be a Stitch of the Month Club. Now, this is something I did back in, I want to say 2004, 2006. I used to be a teacher at Michael's, and one of the things my students all really wanted back then was having a class where they could learn different stitches, and it was a huge success. And the way I set it up is for the first 9 months, we learned 1 stitch a month, and during that month, we crocheted so many squares in that stitch, and you could choose your colors and all that, and I'll talk about that after. On the 10th month, I showed you how to edge the squares to prepare it for joining the squares, because it's just easier to get all the squares and then edge them. And then the 11th month, I showed a beautiful braided join, and we're going to do that as well. It's a join that gives you some lace work in between your squares, but it joins your squares at the same time, so you're crocheting them together, not sewing them together. And then on the 12th month, we learn how to put a cute little pointed edge on it. And I have been working on some of the swatches for those stitches. I'm not going to show them all to you, but here's a couple or 3. I have 2 more that I'm in process of doing. I just quickly made these squares. That is going to go up probably, if all goes well. The listing for that will go up on, I want to say around the 15th of November. All the stitches, because I was working at Michael's at the time, and I was designing professionally, but I wasn't designing for myself professionally. None of these patterns were tech edited. None of them have charts. So they are all at the tech editors right now. But what you'll be getting is, when you sign up, you will get right away. You'll get a document that has what your yarn is, what hook I used, and remember those are always a recommendation. They're not a final thing. It is using worsted weight yarn, but you also get a choice of what size blanket you want. You could do a baby blanket, you could do a full size blanket, or you could do a child's throw. I give you how many squares you need of each stitch for each one of those blankets. So the only thing I cannot give you is yardage. I can tell you what I got for the original pattern that I did way back when. I did a baby blanket back then, and because it was easier as a teacher to do just the baby size. I no longer have that. That was given away as a gift for a cousin who had a baby. So I no longer have the original. But I am going to I'll probably be doing a baby blanket as well, along with everybody else, because it seems like all my nieces and nephews are having babies right now. But I can give you an idea of what what I got out of the yarn that I used. I used Red Heart back at then because that was what with the shop what Michaels was selling. So we used Red Heart for that, but you can use any worsted weight yarn. And I give you a square on a piece of paper that you're going to use the same stitches that I use, but you can check your gauge based on the size of the square. So, and the size of the square, they're 5.5-inch squares because the edging makes it a 6-inch square. They're going to be 6-inch squares total once we do the edging, but you want it to fit inside that square. And I'll give you a actual 5.5 by 5.5-inch square that you can measure everything on, and as you're doing your squares and your stitches. Because what I'm finding is with the new, I'm using Red Heart right now, and some of it is thicker than it used to be. So I'm having to adjust my hook sizes and stuff to do that. The document will also tell you a little bit about what to expect. And then what's going to happen is I'm actually going to have a course format for this, where I'll, on the first of every month, so starting January 1st, I will drop a pattern of the stitches. The first stitch will go out, and then sometime during that month, I'm going to do an hour-long call for help, questions, and that call in January for sure will be not only about the square itself, the stitch itself needing help and stuff like that, but it will also be a question about the whole event. I might do a bit of a an intro call before then, but I don't know with the holidays if that's going to work for me. So I'm not going to guarantee that, but I might do that. You'll also get a video of me doing that stitch, and I'm working on those right now too as I'm doing these squares. So for each of the 9 months, you'll get all of that. And on month 10, I'll be showing you how to edge the squares, giving you all that information, video, a document, all that kind of stuff. And then on the 11th month, I'll be doing a video and giving you written in pattern for how to join everything with beautiful braids. And then in month 12, I will do the video and the document with the edging. Every month we'll also have a call. I can't guarantee that every month is going to be an hour long because depending on what's going on, but it will never be less than a half an hour. So I'm in, it might be 45 minutes rather than an hour. It depends on the questions too. If everybody who shows up gets their questions answered in the first 15 minutes, we might chat a little bit and show off our projects and stuff like that. But it may be a shortened video. But those video calls will be recorded so that I can put them into the each course, each section of the course, so that people who can't attend the live video can at least see what questions were being asked and maybe their answers. And maybe the answers that you get will help you with what you're doing. And if not, I will have a way for you to contact me as well. That's something I do with all my crochet alongs. If you need to contact me, the class will also have a chat feature. So you can chat with other people that are doing the project, and it'll be a place that you can ask me questions, or if it's an emergency, you can always shoot me go to my website and use the contact form and shoot me a question. But I prefer to do it in the group so that if you have a question that might help somebody else, we can do that as well. That's going to be starting January 1st. Again, I'm going to put the listing up probably around the 15th of November. I definitely want to do it before Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I'm thinking it's going to be $10 a month. If I do it at $10 a month for Black Friday, I am planning to do a little bit of a discount on it. But at $10 a month, and I'll give you the option, I think. I have to make sure this is going to work, but I'm thinking it'll be either $10 a month, or I'll give you the annual price and you can pay it all up front if you want to. If I can do that. I can't guarantee that right now, but that's kind of what's happening with that crochet along. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew about that because it's coming soon. I will announce it in the next newsletter as well. I think that's in there. I'm slowly putting it with my newsletters. What's really interesting is when I know things are coming up, I put them in the newsletter as quickly as I can, if I remember to, or if I'm in a place that I can. And I think I did put that in there, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to try to get it in there. If it's not, for sure on the 14th or sometime around the 14th, I will send that out as well. But just so you guys know, and then also when I do announce it and it goes live, the newsletter subscribers are going to get a discount on it anyway. If you're a member of the Crochet Crew, at which I do not have registration open for Crochet Crew right now because things are changing with that. But for those of you who are a member of Crochet Crew, you get a special discount because you know that with Crochet Alongs, you guys get something special with that. But anybody that's not in part of the Crochet Crew, make sure you're on my newsletter because you will get a introductory discount on the $10 a month. It might be, instead of $120 for the year, it might be $99 for the year, something like that. So just watch my newsletter. If this is something you're interested in, it's going to be a great time. I know when I did it at Michael's, everybody loved it. And of course, I did it live, so everybody was crocheting together and learning the stitches together. But we can make it fun too on the internet. So. And then hopefully by Christmas next year, 2024, you will have a blanket for somebody in your family as a gift, if that's what you want it to be, or it can be, for yourself, a gift for yourself, whatever it is you want to do with this blanket. But again, be watching for that because that's going to be coming up, and that's what I'm kind of working on right now too, along with the sweater and timeout. So let's talk about the topic of the week. Okay, topic of the week. And the reason I chose this topic is because I got in the last week, not just, recently, in the last week, I got 3 different people emailing me, asking me about why is it they can get the stitch gauge, but they can't get the row gauge. And do they change hooks? Do they change, whatever. And so the short answer, before I'm going to roll a video of my hands doing what I'm talking about. But before I do that, the short answer is, if you can get your stitch gauge with a particular hook, don't change your hook. Okay? Don't change your hook, because the stitch gauge is going across your rows. And if you can get that, then adjusting the height of your stitch is easier that way. If you change your hook at that point, you're changing your stitch gauge as well as your row gauge, and you don't want to do that. So if you get your stitches, so let's say it's 20 stitches for 4 inches and you've got that dead on, I'm going to roll a video, but basically it's adjusting how high or how short your stitches are. So right here, I'm going to roll a video of me talking about that, and then we'll come back. So lately, guys, I've been getting a lot of questions on row gauge. I don't know how else to talk about this, so I'm doing this little short video, hoping that things get a little bit better for you guys. But with row gauge, you have to remember, I'm using my sweater here that I'm working on, and a lot of times you can get the stitch gauge going across just fine, but you're finding that your stitches are either too tall or too short. And I wanted to show you how when I tell people to either tighten up or loosen up, what I am talking about. So this is what I'm going to show you right here with the sweater. Okay, so I'm doing double crochet. So when I do my double crochet, if I tell you to loosen up, what I do is I try, before I do my last yarn over, I try to loosen up the stitches and then pull through that last one. And so you see how that made it a little bit taller? Now I'm going to tighten up the next one. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through once, yarn over, pull through 2. And if you need to make it tighter, just yank on the working yarn and you'll see that that one actually got a little shorter. So when I say loosen up, that means don't tug, first of all, at the end of your row. I mean, it's hard doing this with my camera in front of me. Okay, there we go. So a lot of people tend to want to tug at the end of their stitches, including myself. Just giving an extra tug just to even things out, that's okay. But you don't want to, if you're too tight, you don't want to give that extra tug. So you can just crochet along and just not tug at all, or tug a little bit to keep the stitches the same height. But if you need to loosen up, the best way to loosen up is either start with a little bit taller stitches or do your first two and then loosen up the last two and to make those taller. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but you can see right here, this is a little looser, it's a little taller than the others here next to it, and then here comes another tall one. So that is what I find helps me with my row gauge. With my stitch gauge, usually it takes just changing hooks. Once you get your stitch gauge, your row gauge is easily adjusted by how you finish your stitch. So I hope that helps. Okay, so hopefully that video gave you some really good tips on how to adjust the gauge, how to loosen up your stitches, how to tighten your stitches, and what the most common thing, I didn't say it in the video, but the most common thing that causes the row gauge to be different is adding an extra tug at the end and tightening your stitch too much. That's usually what shortens it. And what makes it too tall is not tightening it enough. So that is the video. If you have any questions on any of that, go ahead and put it in the show notes. That's so important to me. Show notes in the comments. Sorry guys. I guess I am feeling, I'm still a little stuffy and all that. So in the comments, let me know if you have any questions about row gauge. Even with stitch gauge, just to go back to that, that's to me the easiest way to fix your stitch gauge is just change your hook, because the diameter of your hook is going to affect how fat or how thin your stitches are. So make sure you do that. Okay, let's move on to stories. And I am going to pull up a story here. Oops, how did that happen? Okay, hang on guys. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to pull up a story here, and it's from Frances in New Zealand again. I definitely want to shout out to Frances. She's had some really great stories for us. So this is a really good one. And this is about her family and crochet and knitting. Okay, so I'm going to read this just directly what she wrote here. She says, we have 5 kids. Daughter 1 still does, hate any thought of her doing fiber or fiber related stuff. Her husband actually sews very well, so she doesn't need to. So that's awesome. She married into a very crafty, married a very crafty husband. So that's kind of cool. Daughter 2 loved to sew. Her eldest 16 taught herself to crochet and made a pile of waffle stitch rectangles and made herself an amazing long line cardie. She wanted to surprise my mom, her Oma, great-grandmother, but never got to show it to her. So she wore it to her funeral, and I know my mom would have loved that. Many of mom's elderly friends commented on the young one's cardie that she wore as she helped with the offertory at the mass. Our son learnt to knit. Okay, so first of all, let me go back. I didn't realize that was a separate sentence. So her daughter 2 has a 16-year-old who taught herself to crochet. That's amazing. It's so great to see the younger generation, being interested in crochet. It's so different from when I was growing up. I was the only crocheter I knew. Everybody told me what a great grandmother I was going to be when I was in high school because I always brought my projects with me. So when I hear about a crocheter, a young crocheter like that, I get so excited. So tell her to keep going. Okay, so her third child is her son, and he learned to knit. Okay, so she's got a daughter who doesn't want to do anything. She has a daughter who sews, and she has a granddaughter who is taught herself to crochet. And she has a son who knits. So that's 3 kids so far. So her third daughter started knitting, then took up crochet as a 10-year-old. Her first project was meant to be a hat. The problem was she stopped increasing too early and made a very long tube sock. Oh, that's too cute. That's funny. Then she had to try and repeat that. So she had 2 socks. That would be, that would be some of the things that I did when I was learning to crochet. Okay, and then daughter number 4 loves picking patterns for me to make for her. Okay, so you have 2 daughters at the end of the spectrum. One doesn't want to do anything. The other one doesn't do it, but she wants you to make stuff. And that's so family. I mean, I'm one of 7 grandchildren, the only one who took to yarn. They all want me to make stuff now for their families and stuff like that. On my dad's side, I'm the oldest of 2 granddaughters, and my dad had 2 daughters, and I'm the only one still. My sister doesn't do yarn work. My niece does, though. Her daughter, my niece Ariana, started in grammar school. She had a teacher that was crocheting, so she learned to crochet, and now every once in a while I get a picture either from my sister or from Ariana, because she's 23 now. She likes to make amigurumis, so every once in a while I'll get a picture of something she made, so that's really exciting. Okay, and then Frances goes on and says, I was making watch straps 1970s when I was 10, so I remember watch straps. We used to tuck our leather wash straps through to add a point of difference. Selling them to the kids at school, I was selling them to the kids at school and bought my first crochet hook. Not Mom's, mine. I also bought yarn with my profits. So that's really great, Frances. I mean, you had a great story of, first of all, your family. I mean, that's something all of us have. I mean, one of the things a lot of crocheters and knitters too talk about are they crochet worthy or are they knit worthy? And you obviously laid it down. You have one daughter that doesn't want it, so obviously she's not crochet worthy. You have one daughter that picks out the patterns for you, and she's obviously crochet worthy. And then you have a son who knits, so he's probably doing things for himself. I mean, that is amazing. And having a granddaughter who picked it up on her own, that's amazing. So it really shows the family dynamics. If anybody else has a story about, how their kids and their family takes to crochet or doesn't, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Or you can just shoot me an email at comments@KarenWhooley.com. I'll have that link in, or have the email address in there. But if you are interested in just shooting me an email, it's comments@KarenWhooley.com. That is a great story. I love that. I love that. Okay, let's go to the comments now. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of read these in order as they came in. So Renee Bryant 9288 said, Hi, Karen. Hope you're feeling better soon. I'm sorry you're having to deal with technical issues behind the scenes. I'm sure that must take time and energy away from doing the fun stuff, crochet design, testing, and pattern making. Looking forward to seeing your sweater you're currently designing. Yes, Renee, I feel so much better, like I mentioned at the top of this. And tech, for those of you who didn't watch last week, I was having major tech issues. I'm still working my way through them. I think most of them are fixed now. I have a new website. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do, KarenWhooley.com. But now that I am, that's pretty much done. I mean, there's still things behind the scenes tech-wise I have to work on. Nothing that's going to affect you guys. It's more of making things easier for me. But it's so much better right now. So now I like I said, I've been working on my sweater, I just can't. I hate those sleeves. I'm rethinking a couple things, so we'll see how it goes in the next week or so. But yeah, I am starting back to designing. In fact, I was just this morning pulling out all the yarn for Christmas gifts that I need to wind, and I'll probably be doing that this week as well. So I'm back to doing what I like to do. Senko Farms, Ellen. Hi, Ellen. I had asked her last week she was talking about popcorn garland, and I didn't know what that was. So I asked her to let me know what it was. She says, it's a YouTube tutorial I sent you on Instagram. I'll try to post a picture here if I remember when I'm editing the video. But yes, she sent me a picture and the tutorial. She said, they are super cute, but I'm not a big fan of crocheting with cotton. It's weaving in the ends to shape it into popcorn because I'm a perfectionist, so it takes me forever, LOL. I understand that because I rip out stuff all the time, and cotton can be very difficult to work with because it has no stretch and no memory, and I totally get that. That's why mostly with cotton, if I'm going to do a garment or a shawl, it's usually a blend because the blend helps with that. But when you're making something like this, you just want 100% cotton. And 100% cotton, the only thing I ever make these days are coasters and pot holders and dishcloths. So, yeah, especially with, like this stuff, the sugar and creams kind of stuff. This stuff is so hard to work with sometimes. I like it when the project's done and it's done right. But yeah, no, the perfectionist in me would do that too. Deb Morgiana said, the link to the sock ruler doesn't work. And I did fix that. There was an issue with that. I apologize for that. But I fixed it. So for you guys, don't know why the rest of these comments aren't showing. I know I have a whole bunch. Hang on. Let me go a different route. Okay, here we go. I guess that's it. Linda also left me a story, and I'm going to read that one next week. So, but those are the comments for this week. Like I said, Linda, don't worry. I am going to read yours next week. So, I'll put that one in the stories. Anyway, guys, that's it for this week. It's pretty short. Because I've been dealing with being sick and tech stuff and working on the sweater that's not doing what it's supposed to do. But anyway, so this is a short one. I hope you have a great start to November. It's November 1st. And like I said, I'm recording this on Halloween, but tomorrow is November 1st. You'll see this on November 1st. I can't believe how fast this year is going. And I will see you next time. And we'll hopefully have a good portion of my sweater done. And I'll hopefully have some new projects on my hook and needles that I can show you. So anyway, guys, have a great week. Blessings all around to everyone. And I will talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.